All right. Good afternoon. This is the May 25th, 2022 Pensacola Purdue Bay Estuary Program Policy Board meeting. Roll call.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Chairman Bender.
Here.
Vice Chair Speed.
Here.
Commissioner Peach.
Here.
Councilman Hill. Here. Mr. Norberg.
Here.
Mayor Fitch. Here. And on the phone, do we have Commissioner Cole? Here, that's absent. Do we have Ms. Campbell representing Baldwin County?
Yes.
All right. Councilwoman Rice? Commissioner Bergosh? Mayor Boutwell? We do have 6 in person in attendance, so we do have a quorum.
Okay, perfect. We'll go ahead and we'll do the approval of the minutes, and then we'll probably move up the action items to make sure that we can accomplish that today. Any comments on the meeting, on the minutes, or a recommendation?
Motion to approve minutes?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Peach, second by Mayor Fitch. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Matt, you want to go ahead and go over the action items then, please?
Sure. Would you mind if we introduce our interns real quick? They have to break, and then we'll go right to actions.
That'd be
if that's all right.
happy to. Yeah,
all right.
Works.
Well, that's fantastic. If y'all will come up to the front, pleased to introduce 3 of our 4 new interns that have just started with us within last week and into this week. So we have Sarah Jacobs, Kate Jennings, and Molly McDaniel here. Tucker Reynolds is also a new intern with us, but he had a conflict and couldn't make it today. So Sarah, do you want to just introduce yourself to the policy board? Tell them where you're from, where you're going to school?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I am originally from Vail, Colorado, but I'm going to school at NC State University in Raleigh, and my parents just moved down to Perdido, so I'm very excited to be the development intern this summer for the Pensacola and Perdido Bays Estuary Program.
Hi, I'm Molly McDaniel. I'm from New Brockton, Alabama, and I'm currently a graduate student from the University of Miami. And the internship is contributing towards the completion of my degree program.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Jennings. I'm a native of Pensacola, so happy to be back home. And I'm currently getting my undergraduate degree at the University of Florida. So.
Great. Welcome. All right, welcome everybody. Hope you guys have a great summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very, very excited to have them on the team and focusing on community resilience, establishing our development program, and then also aiding with the manatee outreach efforts that were started a couple years ago. So thanks for that. With that, we can go into action items. The first action item, item 5A, is the approval of the Mississippi-Alabama Sea Grant Consortium subrecipient agreement in the amount of $28,496 for the Resilience Readiness Project.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Woody?
Nope, nothing here.
Okay. If none, I'll take a motion then.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Mayor Fitch and then Commissioner Peach. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Item B is the approval of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Grant Agreement number 22 PLN 35 in the amount of $687,500 for the Compound Flood Modeling and Adaptation Planning Project. As I told you in our one-on-one meetings, we don't have the formal agreement yet, but we do have that scope of work in the backup, so looking for the board's approval on that. And this is a fairly large award that we received through the DEP Resilient Florida Grant Program, so we're very excited to get this work moving forward here later this year.
Okay. Any issues, board, with, you said with not having the,
Right. So we have the scope of work in the background, or in the backup, and we're currently working with DEP to get the formal grant agreement in place.
okay. Very good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take a motion then.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay. Motion by Ann Hill, second by Mayor Fitch. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Item C is related to the approval of a letter of support for the program's application to FDEP for a regional resilience entity grant program. So there's a letter of support required for that grant program.
Okay. Any comments?
Can you tell us a little bit about the grant program?
Certainly. Yes, so the Regional Resilience Entity Grant Program was stood up as part of the Resilient Florida legislation that the Florida legislature approved session before last. In South Florida, there's a number of groups in South Florida that establish these regional resilience entities. There's a small grant program that was made available to aid these regional entities in working with their local government partners to coordinate multi-jurisdictional vulnerability assessments, providing technical assistance, and co-developing grant applications to the state's to the state's resilience adaptation plan.
And so this is just a letter of support that will be accompanying the application that you're submitting.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
all right. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right,
Item D.
Thank you. Item D is the approval of an agreement with Impact Campaigns in the amount of $55,000 for the SJ program marketing services.
Okay. Any comments on this? So this had come in front of our board, and Board of County Commissioners asked that it come in front of this board prior to approval at our level. So that's why it's on here. So any comments? Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell us what kind of marketing that will involve?
Certainly. So this is really to help broaden the program's outreach to the larger residents and visitors of the community. So much like you may see with, say, the Pensacola Humane Society or Visit Pensacola, it's really helping our team get materials together for outreach to some of our local businesses, and really helping to develop those campaigns, whether it be seagrass protection, oyster campaigns, et cetera. Looking at anything to add there? That's good? Okay. Thanks.
When would it likely start?
So if the policy board approves, this will still go back to the Escambia BCC for approval. So likely mid to late June, if that got approved.
We expect this will be put on our agenda for next week.
Okay.
Right? This is what we talked about earlier. Okay. So, okay.
Move to approve.
Woody? Mayor Fitch? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Action item E relates to an extension to the SRA program's office lease agreement with Empire Partners through the duration of the EPA grant, which is December 31st, 2022.
Okay. If no comments, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Ann Hill,
Second.
second Commissioner Peach. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. Action item F relates to the approval authorizing the chairman and myself to sign a letter to our local government partners requesting consideration of local government contributions for FY '23. Again, as I stated in our one-on-one conversations, this is not a mandate or requirement. It's simply a request. Of course, having that local government contribution support will be very helpful as we look for the National Estuary Program designation and state and private support as well. So, thank you.
Just a question, have we had support from in those areas before? Or is this a new ask?
Correct. So if we go back to the Bay Area Resource Council days, the BARC days, all of the local governments that originally participated in BARC did contribute. When the BARC transitioned into the estuary program, some of the local governments pulled back their contributions moving forward as we had the Restore Act funds.
Right, so I think we didn't realize that we needed, that our matching funds were essentially part of the grant. And so,
Correct.
Which I thought we were at like a $25,000 or something like that. I don't know if we were at 60.
That's what the current
We're
fiscal year
currently at
contribution is.
60? Okay.
No, sorry, at 25.
Okay,
Right.
So-
Moving forward, though, for the National Estuary Program designation, in order to meet that threshold, we really need to try to achieve that total $250,000 contribution from all of our local government partners to
Okay.
get to that level.
and so this is, although some of us were participating in it currently, this is more of what will be needed going forward under an NEP designation.
That's correct.
Okay.
When you're saying the 250,000, is it 125,000 match like you were just mentioning, or that's what you need as a contribution?
That's what we're really looking for, a contribution from our local government partners combined. We also have a request to the state level, and then also through our business partnership program as a whole. So in total, we'll have a local contribution somewhere, if everything shakes out right, in the $500,000 ballpark, that then we could serve as that match for the federal allocation.
Any other
Will
comments?
there be an ask before the national? Are you going to approach during this budget year, or will you approach after the designation?
If the board approves this, we'll have that letter authorized here, basically in the next week, and then reach out to each of our local government partners. Example, Ashley, that will be through you and through each of the board members, so that way we can look to see if we can get that incorporated into the FY23 budget cycle. And we will have an accompanying return on investment document that goes along with that letter as well.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Just let your administrators know to be on the lookout for this. Receive it favorably. All right, so I'll take a motion then to do the letter.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ann Hill, Mayor Finch. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Right, thank you. Staff is asking that we drop item G related to the approval of amended and restated estuary program interlocal agreement. Once we had this on the agenda, we thought we had everything worked out with Florida Department of Economic Opportunity as it relates to the provisions necessary for independent special district status. Based on a email correspondence with them late Friday, there's some additional due diligence necessary to be able to address our Alabama parties in that. I don't think that's an insurmountable task. It just needs to have some additional conversations with them. So asking that we drop this until the July board meeting.
Okay, do we need to take action on dropping it?
I think you're
Okay.
fine.
With that statement, I forgot, we probably want to add approval of the agenda or something like that to the top of that.
Be sure to do that for
okay.
future meetings.
Okay, so that is it for the action items?
There's one more, the bylaws.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yep.
So we just have the last action item there is item H related to the approval of the amended board bylaws.
Okay. And are there any questions about these?
I have a question, Ashley Campbell.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Hey, I was just looking over 6.2, the financial disclosure, and it just says each policy board member and executive director shall file a disclosure of the financial interest in accordance with the provisions of the sections of Florida statutes. Does that not need to address Alabama? Or does it not need to mention that?
That's a great point. I would need to confer with legal to get their opinion on that.
Let's run that
Okay.
down. And I'd say that's probably something that we're, as a special district, probably going to have to address anyway.
Right.
So if there's no objection, I would go ahead and drop this
fine.
item and bring it back in the next meeting then.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Great point, thank you. All right, that's it for the action items. We can go back up to staff updates.
All right, thank you all very much. The first item under my update relates to the financial report and finance subcommittee. Subcommittee did not meet this go around. We did not have any action items, but we'll get that group reconvened before the next board meeting. The expenditure report is in your backup, and everything is tracking on target for our grants. The second item under my update, just as an FYI, EPA has approved both of the budget amendments. The first to the main EPA Restore Act grant that funds the majority of the program, and then the minor budget modification to the EPA Trash-Free Waters grant. The third item, just as an update to NEP designation legislation, that effort is moving forward. Senator Rubio's office and Senator Scott's office continue to be very supportive in that endeavor. We've had some great support from City of Orange Beach as well, so we can try to get to some Alabama outreach as well. Had some previous conversations with Commissioner Blankenship with ADC&R, who's been supportive. So I think all in all, we're going in a good direction. A trip to DC probably later this year from a small contingent of members and supporters would probably be helpful to see that effort through, before the calendar year ends. But otherwise, we've got great support and keeping after it.
Matt, I just want to recognize you for your work on that. I know it's you went down to their conference in South Florida, working with Roberta, reaching out to Alabama legislators. I would say this is just as important as the CCMP in order to keep this thing moving. So it's again, that's what we need. So I just want to recognize that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to make it happen. The fourth item under my update relates to the governance structure transition. We covered this briefly under that last action item. We are proceeding with DEO, which is the administrator of the Special District Accountability Program, making sure that we check all of the boxes for that. Continuing to have those discussions as it relates to administrative services as well, both in terms of the financial services, general counsel, and IT support. Hopefully by the July board meeting, we'll have some more meat on the bone there that the board can take some action related to those services. We've already touched on that local government contribution. Again, that is going to be an important point to show our state and federal and private partners that there's skin in the game. And I will just say, both in terms of whether it's Deepwater Horizon restoration funds or the federal infrastructure bill funds that are coming out, there's never been more funding than there is really coming out this summer. So the team, in partnership with our various partners and stakeholders, are working to gear up for those funding opportunities that will start to really hit the street next month. Related to that, just wanted to mention briefly how excited we were to have our first annual management conference meeting over at Sanders Beach Community Center back in April. It was a tremendous opportunity. We had over 100 people in attendance, one to partially celebrate the successes over the last couple years, but then also get to work on identifying specific projects that can be included in our annual work plan for this upcoming fiscal year. So very, very much appreciative to all of the stakeholders that continue to participate in the SRA program, as well as the event sponsors that we had sponsor that as well.
And I was going to recognize Commissioner Cole for stepping up and taking the mic to welcome everybody. On behalf of the policy board, we were all making our way over from TPO, but everyone who did make it over there and participated, it was great to see everyone's involvement. So great job for doing that.
He loved to put his shirt on, so that was that's great. With that, we'll turn it over to Whitney for an update.
Exciting updates for the CCMP. So we are finally getting into the final design of the document to make it a bit more engaging for folks and obviously move into that comment period that we've all been waiting for. So we have been working with Background Stories. They have done other similar type projects with the Peconic Estuary Partnership as well. They did their CCMP, and they're also working on the IPCC report. So we are excited to be working with Background Stories. We have submitted draft documents to them, and they've already gotten started on drafting. As you can see here, some mock-ups of kind of what the pages will look like. So we're excited to work with them to develop ideas for infographics and other visual aspects of things. We've kind of turned over a lot of materials so they can kind of work their magic in the background. So we'll be working with them, touch points regularly to kind of see the progress over time and get that all finished up by July. So we're hoping to have a draft review with committees during that time period in July, and then obviously reviewing it with the policy board members and having a public comment period. And then in September, we would bring it to the board for final approval. So we are on our way to meeting those timelines, and so we're really looking forward to that. We will also be working, of course, we've mentioned before, the State of the Bays report is still kind of happening in the background, kind of developing the framework and the data that we will include in that final report. And then we had an exciting, well-attended workshop last week at the Perdido Key Community Center. We had a lot of seagrass and genetic experts come to the table for our NOAA Actionable Science Workshop. So this is in partnership with the University of New Orleans and Mississippi State. And we co-hosted this event to get more feedback for the next round of funding for executing actionable science. So this will be a NOAA proposal that we put together with partners to make this a reality. So we're basically turning a strategic plan for seagrass restoration to incorporate genetic strategies to make seagrass beds in our watersheds more resilient to changes. So we had close to 50 participants, most in person, but we also had an online portion as well, and we think it went really well. We got awesome feedback, and so we're basically working in the background to synthesize all of that and turn that into a proposal that we can submit for more funding for the next 5 years. So it's a 5-year grant opportunity.
Whitney, what's the timeline on round 2? When is that?
They haven't announced yet, but most likely July, I think it's looking like. Okay. July it'll be out.
Would be the request for
the
proposals?
RFP. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Perfect. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Logan?
Yeah, so we wanted to give you an update on some of the community grants. Today we're just going to cover some that have had some major updates since we spoke last. They are ending May 31st, so next week. All of the work will be completed, and then their final reports are due in June. So when we see you again in July, we'll have a comprehensive update on each of the projects. But exciting news, the Perdido Key Coastal Demonstration Garden, awarded to Escambia County, has been installed with volunteers. as you heard last time, but also now they have signs in the ground with information on the garden and how folks can incorporate some of those techniques into their own property. The Esca Rosa Oyster Corps program through Franklin's Promise has been busy at work, and we just wanted to share one recent event that they had. They were at Florida Town Park, and they did a planting with Pace High School students, who they have also been working with outside of this field trip to grow plants during their school time. The UWF Historical Ecology Project kicked off 2 of the seminars to share their findings with the public. So they had one over in Inverarity Point at the Perdido Key United Methodist Church, and they shared information about historical knowledge of oysters in the Perdido Bay system. And then they held another one at Odd Colony in downtown Pensacola on the history and legacy of some of the local creeks in the Pensacola Bay system. And we will also be expecting a final report that will include information outside of what they presented. And we are expecting that they will be recording these presentations for access outside of those who are able to attend these presentations. And then exciting news, it's hard to believe we're almost here again. We are expecting that pending final approval by the governor for the state budget, that we will be opening the application period on July 6th for the next round of grants. So just before we see you next time in July, we will hopefully be opening up that request for proposals. And Emerson's gonna come out and give us an update on trash-free waters.
Hi, board members. Good afternoon. It's great to see all of you again. Since the last time we spoke, we've had some exciting developments for our Trash-Free Waters project, including an exciting field trip that we hosted in partnership with the Creative Learning Academy. Our outreach assistant, Maddie, has been instrumental in getting our Trash-Free Waters curriculum out into classrooms in the community, so we're really excited moving forward into the next semester to continue to host those field trips. We also had the opportunity to work with Visit Pensacola and some other partners during the National Tourism Week cleanup over at Lexington Terrace Park, which is also the site of one of our Trash-Free Waters litter boom systems. On top of that, we've continued to monitor our boom systems installed in each of the 3 creeks that we focus on through this project. And we're actually turning the corner on a year of monitoring here at the end of July. So, as we kind of get to the end of our monitoring period for Trash-Free Waters, we're going to be scheduling a workshop with some of the folks that are doing cleanups and really invested in our creek waterways to develop litter mediation solutions for each of our creek systems. So we're really, really excited. And that covers it for me. If you have any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Any questions? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before he goes back to run the show, I think we mentioned this at our last meeting that was upcoming, but we did share on social media. I wanted to share with all of you in person that Emerson also graduated recently from University of West Florida, so we're really excited.
And he's leaving us.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
He's here until September. All right, thanks, Emerson. And we also want to acknowledge the students from University of West Florida's Community Engagement through Environmental Science course that were working with us last semester, that assisted with storm drain marking program, developing our Brews for the Bays competition and proceeds program, and provided film and video support. And you may have seen them at the management conference meeting helping out as well. So we want to give a big shout out to Raylene, Melissa, and Heather for all of their work with us the last semester. And then we just wanted to give you a snapshot of some of the things we've been up to since we've last seen you. It has been a busy spring with the world happening again. We held our Volunteer Month Appreciation Paddle back in April. We had an opportunity to go out again with FWC on their oyster spat monitoring project in Escambia and East Bay, where they collected stringers of oyster shells that were deployed a month ago when we were out on the boat with them that they took back to the lab to process, and they will be continuing that monthly. We participated in Santa Rosa County Bay Day, which is really exciting. So the first time since I've been here, there was an official Bay Day since COVID. And so that was up in Milton with a number of other partners. And you can see Maddie's not with us today, but she was leading our touch tank activity, really kicking that off. And we've had great response from that. And folks have been really excited to meet some of our local critters that we go out and seine for. For Pensacola Earth Day Festival, we led a paddle in Bayou Tahar. We went to one of the islands relatively close to the opening of the bayou and found, unfortunately, a lot of debris around the campsite there, but cleaned that up. And then we were also tabling at the festival. We traveled, almost all the team, unfortunately Emerson was still in class, so that's the only reason he's not pictured here. We traveled to the Gulf of Mexico conference in Baton Rouge, which was a great opportunity to collaborate with researchers, practitioners, and academics from all around the Gulf on some major issues that, of course, cross these jurisdictional boundaries. And then we were at the Navarre Beach Marine Science Station for their annual Autism Odyssey event. And we led a field, or we didn't lead a field trip, we led an activity at a partner field trip for the Episcopal School, and Emerson's gonna play a video of the relay game that we had them participate in. So yes, you heard correctly. So this game was something we came up with to save, in this case, the manatees. They had to clean the water from litter. They had to practice safe boating practices with some floating boats in the water. And then they did have to scoop out some Tootsie Roll poop out of the water so that nutrient levels were safe enough for their seagrass to grow, which was spaghetti noodles that they then had to collect to feed a manatee. So they, of course, had a blast with that.
I just want to say, I know Carrie helped out with that too, so I want to thank her for that. I think I heard it was a fun day, so thank you.
Yeah, Rick, Carrie, and Chris really organized that and invited us to participate, so we're really excited to be a part of that annual field trip they put on.
A little disappointed they weren't miniature Baby Ruths, but.
Well, we'll be doing it again, so we'll definitely consider that. And then we were at Navy Point just last weekend. We seined around the reefs there, and we got to show community members all sorts of different critters found right in the waters. And we did catch an oyster toadfish, which was pretty cool for folks to see among many of the other critters we caught. And then we partnered on an event in Navarre that was a community connection dialogue, so really a workshop around building community resilience to increased flooding and sea level rise that was led by Place SLR and coordinated with partners at Santa Rosa County. And then tomorrow, we have an upcoming event. One more, we're excited. So I think you have been hearing about this for quite some time. We originally tried to schedule it last year, but our venue had some construction underway still. So we are going to be showing the Escambia River documentary that was produced through last year's community grant program funding cycle. And we'll have a panel of local experts to talk about sediment issues in our watersheds as well. And so that's a free event that's open to the public. It's at 5:30, kicks off, and it'll go until 7. So we hope you can join us and help us spread the word in the day left before the event. We have been up around Milton recently, and folks were talking to us about it before we even brought it up. So I think the word is getting around, and we're excited to see folks tomorrow. And then upcoming events, we will be at the Sea Turtle baby shower at Pensacola Beach like we were last year, as well as World Oceans Day in Perdido Key, doing tabling. And then we have a CCMP engagement at the Coastal Arts Center of Orange Beach. That was pushed back to June 16th. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 in the evening, and we invite folks to come out and join us on that one, and we'll be really pushing that out in the next week or so. And on June 22nd, we will be co-hosting a workshop for oyster vision mapping, so really bringing together all of the recent data and models for stakeholders to see, and then collaboratively deciding what restoration in the bay system looks like. And then we're also very excited, Maddie is going to be going all over Baldwin, Santa Rosa, and Escambia counties from June to July for certain summer programs at participating libraries. So she'll be leading ocean-related story time for the Ocean of Possibilities themes. And then at a couple of the libraries, she will also be bringing out the touch tank for kids to meet some of the local critters. Yes. So the library programming, they offer it to all age groups. I'd say the story time is going to be your younger elementary school, but anyone's still welcome to participate, especially for the touch tank. And then please go ahead and save the date for the Santa Rosa County Business Partnership Kickoff. That's going to be June 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. over at the Santa Rosa County Chamber of Commerce. And we're really appreciative of Donna Tucker's support, and she's really helping us to co-host that event and coordinate it with us.
Perfect. Huh? Not much going on. No. All right, well, great. Well, thank you, everybody, for those updates. We are now up to the committee updates. We have a technical committee update.
Yeah, this is Paul Looney. So we haven't met since last we spoke, but obviously, as they were speaking about the things they've been going on, the management meeting took place, and it looks as though the next step on this is to incorporate the ideas that came from that management meeting into an annual work plan. I believe we'll try to help with that. And I just wanted to make a couple observations about that management meeting. First of all, it was an excellent meeting, well planned, a great venue. And one of the things that struck me as I was sitting in one of the breakout sessions, a gentleman next to me that I had no idea who he was, we're getting to know each other, coming up with ideas for potential projects. And I finally asked him, so, who are you? Where do you come from? And he was a representative from the EPA from Atlanta. So this tells me that these meetings are not only effectively marketed, but of great interest to people from around the area. A lot of people from Alabama showed up and participated. It was really truly a cross-border participation activity. I'm just happy to be around with these guys. Looks like we will have our technical committee update meeting sometime, our technical committee meeting sometime in June or July.
Okay, Paul, thank you so much.
You betcha.
Are we going to have an oyster subcommittee update?
The update was the workshop that we're going to be hosting. So we're working with the co-chairs of that committee to host that, especially with the Nature Conservancy and FWC as well.
Perfect.
So that'll be June 22nd, and we'll be sending out an agenda for that very shortly.
Thank you so much. Carrie, presenting the education and outreach.
Hey, how's it going? Carrie Stevenson, co-chair of the Education Committee. As Logan mentioned, y'all have seen pretty much all of the education and outreach that's been going on with the estuary program. April and May are very busy in this line of work. The weather is good, school is slowing down, people want to get back outside. September and October will be just as busy with estuary week and schools wanting to get outdoors. So our committee is not going to meet again until June. We did not meet in May. We were already running around. Again, as Logan mentioned, the Earth Day and the school field trips, the community estuary outreach programs, The upcoming June works out that the library's summer theme is Oceans of Possibilities, so that's a nice tie-in. I just wanted to highlight that Bay Day did happen again after about a 2-year hiatus. Bay Day has been a program that was supported and coordinated by BARC for probably the last 20 years, and so we were happy to have that. We've had about 200 students participate in that from several different schools, and we had probably 20 different partners all there with booths, and that was a great event. We did not do it in Escambia this year, but Santa Rosa was the host, so that was great. Any questions on the committee? All right, thanks.
All right, thank you, Carrie. I know for the Business Partnership Committee, we said there's a Santa Rosa meeting coming up. but-
Santa Rosa meeting coming up. I think, as I mentioned at our last policy board, a lot of outreach to chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs. I think we've got another one, hopefully Gulf Breeze maybe coming up here in the not too distant future. And then working on with Donnie McMahon on a couple things from Pensacola Bay Oyster Company. So hopefully start to see some really good actions come out of that by next policy board.
Great, thank you. So policy board agency updates. First of all, I guess I'll ask if there's any agencies on here that would like to give an update. Okay, seeing none, I have a couple quick comments. One, I just read an article about Santa Rosa County using some restore dollars to start a water quality monitoring for Santa Rosa Sound. So I wanted to give Commissioner Peach the opportunity to discuss that, but also recognize those efforts. I know how important that is, sharing that body of water with them. So, Commissioner?
It's been a long time coming. We thought we'd had the grant last fall to get the program rolling this spring, but it moved slow. It's a total of just over $786,000 from Restore Pot 3 for that water quality monitoring component. To extend at least 5 years, if not longer. And that's going to help us because we're working hard to get that effluent out of the sound over there. So we'll be able to do some pre and post monitoring with that. It even includes a boat. So we'll actually be able to do real sampling, and we're partnering with UWF as one of the sub-recipients, but I know NACY's already got these folks energized and enthused about it. So we're very happy with that. And then we should be hearing in the next couple of weeks, but we're expecting another Living Seawall grant from the federal government. And this would be near the wastewater treatment plant where over the years we've discharged that effluent and destroyed that shoreline. This will be able to restore that. So we're coordinating that with the removal of that effluent from the sound. So
That's
a lot of
I
activity
know that's
happening.
a heavy lift that you guys did over there, but it'll pay off. I have a couple other things, but I wanted to see if anybody else had anything they'd like to state first. Okay. I saw Emerson at the Hands Across the Beach over the weekend, which is supporting the ban on offshore drilling. I know we all know how important that is for a number of reasons. So I wanted to recognize him for being there and hosting that. And then also, a couple weeks ago, I got to tour the mess hall with Megan Pratt, and she got to show me some of the things that with our last mini grant that we gave them, what they're able to do. So they had an overhead projector. It was much nicer than just an overhead projector, but you could change the contour of the pillow, and it would show how, and you could make it rain. It would show how that would affect the runoff, things like that. I think I've seen a picture with you guys where you can change the flow of a river, and it shows how it moves. There was also the national tributaries and rivers, all the watersheds in each different color across the country, which was neat to see. And you don't realize how big the Mississippi area is until you see that it takes up like half the country. So I appreciated her tour, but also in seeing what our mini grant dollars went towards, and that it gets to continue to educate youth that come through there. So it was actually like one entire side of their building was dedicated to this. So that was great. That's it from me. Public comment? Mel?
Thank you, Chairman Bender. Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Boblets. I wanted to start by saying I'm a big fan of Matt's. I support him. I support him and his staff and the work that they have been doing and the work he's continuing to do. Not going to say much about what went down. For those of you that aren't in Escambia County, I'm kind of one of the advocates that's known for just saying the thing. So I'll just say that Ray Charles with sunglasses on could have seen that one was a setup, and I am so glad that the policy board retained him. I really do believe he's a shining star, rising shining star. But, and you know this is coming, Matt, trash-free waters. Here are the 7 bags of ripped up oyster bags, empty of their shells except for clusters hanging on, which makes, along with the gentleman who dumped 6 bags at the feet, I didn't even know who he was, over in Navy Point, of county staff on Saturday, upwards of 40 bags now, that as we predicted, this is exactly what was going to happen with this project. I am not against living shorelines. I am not against oyster shell shorelines. But what I'm here today to ask this policy board to consider is that it breaks my heart and it makes me angry at the same time that now I got to come before this policy board on this ridiculous project, which has now reached the point of insanity that it is literally collapsing and spreading sharp oyster shells that now have razor clams attached to them over 2,200 linear feet of our sandy bottom children's swimming beaches. So, that's what we're dealing with in Navy Point. Now, this is not anything, this is something particular of this project. The county used the wrong bags. But what makes me sad is that while the Natural Resources Department of the county has not proven themselves to be adult enough to admit that this project was a mistake and be accountable enough to remove a screaming public safety hazard before a child loses a hand, an arm, a limb, or God forbid, dies. Because that's how serious this issue is. And with all this explosion, and you notice the language is now oyster campaigns, oyster core, very militaristic type stuff here, because there's increasing awareness among the public that these things are bad news where people recreate, including their docks. And the answer that the county always gives me is, well, Mel, there's Vibrio everywhere. Yeah, we know. So why exponentially increase the danger? I'm sure many of you are familiar with what's going on with Senator Broxson right now. I'll give you an example from our own neighborhood. A man that lived for 50 years down the bayou in Beach Haven with his dock, 50 years. One of these projects got introduced near his dock, and a couple of years later, he walked out onto his deck and he lost his leg. You can't put this stuff, okay? The bags themselves are razor sharp. One of them was hanging in a bush today. They go everywhere. If we ever get just the right wind, they're going to come through people's windows. All of these projects need to be vetted. Protect what matters most, right? Protect what matters most. If this board believes that that includes human health and safety, as well as all the little critters, and Robert, I really appreciate you just giving, I swear this is my last comment, and then I'm wrapping it up. When we approached the Navy Point thing on Saturday, I about lost my mind because the county had gone, and this is a good woman, very educated woman, she's a nice person, well-meaning, went out into the water, slid open a bag, dumped some bayou water into a bus tub, and then slapped a sign on it that told the kids to go ahead and stick their hands in there and feel the creatures. So I walked up, there was this little girl, and she's like this, trying to get her hands into oyster shells, and they're tipping the bus tub for her so she can come in contact with it. Has everyone lost their minds? please consider as a policy board that you put some type of policy in motion that this doesn't happen anywhere else again, because I am telling you, it is only a matter of time, and we're only collecting the ones that are coming up on the shoreline. I can't imagine what a mess it is underneath as little kids swam in front of these things on Saturday morning, right underneath signs that warned them to stay away from the project because it's so dangerous. And I really do appreciate the extra time. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, did you say you had something?
Can I get the video feed pumped from here? Is that possible? We got somebody in the control room? Can I do movie night, David?
Here he comes.
Can I get a feed from here?
You need to plug in your computer?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, just do the HDMI cable.
Left or right?
Wherever you want. As soon as you
Thank
get
you,
up,
sir.
I'll put it up for you.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Boblets. Love this part of the world. I like to do dangerous things for hobbies. One of them is scuba. Remember when scuba was dangerous, and well, the waterbed companies had something to say about that after a while during the AIDS crisis. This was the petting zoo the other day. And this was under the shadow of the signs warning Navy pointers who purchased homes with the selling feature that in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, on and on and on until even when I purchased my home there, that no home in Navy Point is more than a few minutes walk from a bathing beach. Navy Point was ringed with beaches and considered bathing beaches, and this is for all time, has been this way. Now, Commissioner Underhill himself, thankfully he's no longer part of this. I am so glad to come to these meetings and not hear that. Actually said, if children get hurt playing with these oysters or on these piles, this is a monumental parenting fail. And, you know, I agree that this project in many parts of the world is perfect. Navy Point, not perfect. Our water does not build large accretions of oysters. You will see on these bags, which have been there for a few years now, there's a few oysters and clams that are clung to these. Not many. Not many at all. And these things are coming apart. And I wear a body camera. I have hours and hours and hours of finding these things on the shoreline. This was part of the display the other day. You know, miniature reef ball, that's kind of cute. This is, the other day, the shoreline behind a large section of this project. Project's not really helping. It's still, the sand is getting pulled back. You see the little shelf that's happening. Well, that undercutting and shelf is evident now in the scores of trees that no longer exist along the Navy Point shoreline. And there are trees now at the poop station on Gibbs Point that are dying because almost all of their roots are now exposed. This project went in, and we knew, the county knew. It was said when this project went in that around the edges of these, there will be a magnification of the erosion. Okay, protecting what matters. Well, there was a hurry to get out of Navy Point. This was this morning. Sign's still there, sir. So I know somebody can come back and get that. So this is where the bags were this morning. If you're protecting what matters, these things are in the grasses, in the brush, all along the shore. This is how we found them this morning. This is how I find them all the time, okay? This is actually a piece of video. This is what they're like. All right, now, if protecting what matters only is showing up with a pelican, this is telling me that the pelicans matter. This is not conducive to pelicans. I have saved quite a few pelicans, brought them to the Habitat for the Pelicans over and over and over again. And it used to be the plastic containers, the six-pack carriers that were the issue. Well, now the county has created, 88,000 issues in these piles that are coming apart and going to the extremes of placing rocks on top of these to help hold them. You know, this is not working. This one spot right here, there are 3 bags off here in the grass, okay? And this is every day. I walk this shoreline all the time with Doug, and I have to basically steer him away from areas where these are. And if children getting hurt is a parenting fail, this is a fail of the county and the program. Yeah, Navy Point is a place to bring people to look at this so that you can make sure that the money's coming through whatever programs, because it's a picture postcard. These things, there is nothing picturesque about what's happening. This is not a postcard.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. Anything else for the good of the whole? All right, thank you, board. We're adjourned.